Hi traders, welcome to Admiral Markets. Thanks for joining this live webinar. We'll be taking a look last time at entry and exit tactics for live setups in this webinar. Before we start looking at the market though, be aware of these two disclaimers. First of all, the fact that the webinar is shown to a global audience but may not be suitable for everyone. Please visit admiralmarketsglobal.com, select your country of residence, and contact the appropriate entity for more information and if it is suitable for you. Also, please note that trading foreign exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. All right. So first of all, before we take a look at the charts, quick introduction of Admiral Markets. You can go to admiralmarkets.com and you'll find out more information. Of course, you'll see, for instance, info about the MetaTrader 4 Supreme Edition, and that's a free plugin that you can download for free. This plugin with 60 extra features. But you'll find other information. Education, for instance, this is something that Ned and I worked on, Forex 101, or the Zero to Hero course. You can trade cryptocurrencies, DAX 30, all of that information is here. These tabs will lead to more info on these topics. Analytics will get you to analysis. Ned and I update that, plus articles. Education will get you to these webinars, for instance, and the courses. And of course, platforms, you'll be able to use the MT4 Supreme Edition. And here you can start trading, and here you can see what you can trade. So if you're joining the webinar, perhaps for the first or the second time, just wanted to give you a heads up where you can find more info later on after this webinar. With regard to the market, that's what we're looking at, of course, in this webinar specifically. Before doing that, by the way, it's always good to take a look at the calendar and make sure that there's nothing major, or be aware of something that could be coming up regarding news events. All right, so let me share my screen with regard to the charts first of all now. All right, the Aussie had an interest rate, stayed on 1.5%. There was some pound news, PMI that was positive. Dollar PMI seems to be about the same as expected. So that's today. Of course, later this week, you got to check it out too. We have unemployment rate in New Zealand, few hours, ADP tomorrow, construction PMI and the pound tomorrow. Thursday, we have Bank of England, bank rate votes and bank rate, interest rate, and the Bank of Governors speaking. So it's Thursday, sorry. So Thursday is a big pound day, keep that in mind. And Friday is a big dollar day because that's when we have the NFP, the non-farm payroll. So, but that's still Friday. That's still a few days from now. Anyhow, let's take a look at this euro dollar. I traded the upside yesterday as it was breaking this triangle. Perhaps some of you managed to trade that too, as I was explaining in my Monday video that you can find on admiralmarkets.com. Go to analytics, go to technical analysis. Did anyone trade the euro dollar upside? Is anyone in the trade perhaps still? I targeted 118.44. I was lucky because price went to 118.44. So that was picking the top. That's just pure coincidence. I was aiming on purposely at 118.50 and went a few pips below that. My trade got exactly taken out at the top is coincidence. But I was aiming 118.50. So that's good. Brian, good to hear that. Made 40 pips. Now, don't say only, it's great. 40 pips is wonderful too. And Brian, I owe you the fractal. It's on my list. It's a bit hectic beginning of this week, but I'm going to send it after this webinar. And that's I'm talking about a fractal indicator that Brian needs for the EA that we discussed in last week webinar on Thursday. I wanted to enter on this candle actually, but I missed it just quickly. I missed that point that this candle closed. I saw the candle maybe 20 minutes afterwards, and the price was already 15 pips higher. I still took the trade there because I thought the reward to risk was there, because even then I made 84 pips on this trade, and my risk was something like 40. Let me check 1 second. 50. So about 1.6 to 1 R2R. But if I would have entered at my trigger, where this is the trigger I was waiting for, this hourly candle, then it would have been better. But okay, that's water under the bridge. But in that case, it would have been probably more 3 to 1. Funny how those few pips can make it 2.5 to 1. Sorry. Well, yeah, it's funny how those few pips can make a difference. But nonetheless, still plus 84 pips. Brian, 40 pips, also great. The breakout to the upside, nicely, continuing with this euro dollar. So yet another higher high, yet another upside continuation. And anyone looking for reversals has been more or less empty-handed for a long while with this euro dollar. Is there a possibility that the euro dollar finally might make a bigger retracement? It's possible. Let's analyze that right now. What is the likelihood of price continuing for one more higher high, or is there going to be a bigger retracement? That's something we're going to investigate right now. I did close the trade at 118.44. I had a TP there, and it hit, and I took the trade as it hit my take profit, or it closed the trade when the take profit got hit. So let's zoom out a bit to the 4-hour chart. You can see how dramatic this uptrend has been in the last 5-6 weeks or so, going from 111 to above 118. Oh yes, I traded on candle close. I wanted to trade this candle close, but just didn't. How it goes when you're monitoring the charts. Just didn't have the time at that point. And then I looked at the chart, and it was, price was a bit higher. But the trigger candle, from my point of view, was this one. Indeed, this is my trigger candle, this particular one. But I took it a bit higher. But that's okay. Those things happen. So looking at the 4-hour chart, we can even quickly look at the daily chart. You can see strong daily candle still yesterday, continuation. This is momentum, folks. This is very strong bullish momentum. Most candles have a higher high, most are bullish, most are strongly bullish. This is definitely momentum ever since this bigger pause here where we had at the beginning of June, end of May, beginning of June. This was a significant moment because price was already going to respect 113 and bounce, or break for an upside reversal. When price started to go sideways like that, right, the reversal started to become less likely. That was not so known at this spot. So after this larger consolidation, we've been in momentum ever since, basically. Now, how far could that momentum last? When looking at these pushes, it's good to look at round levels. We broke 117.50. So naturally speaking, we could say that 120 could be the next target for this upside. So 120, what you got to keep in mind. We can take a look here. We are basically clearing above this 117, so there's nothing there on the daily chart, nor on the weekly chart. Weekly chart, we're looking at maybe a bottom in here, but I'm not sure. That's pretty far from now. I don't think that's that important. Weekly chart, you can see also strong momentum, which has lasted really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ever since this bottom, end of last year, it's been just pushing up. Okay, it had a slow start here. This kind of, it could have been a pullback still, but when the price started to break above it, we had a good push again, then above 113, and now getting a good push again. So definitely, got to be very careful with reversal trades because momentum is up. And 4-hour chart, strong bullish breakout yet again. 120, there's still space to 120. So I don't see any divergence on the 4-hour chart. I don't see any divergence on the daily chart either because this is still building up. I don't see anything stopping this euro dollar yet, except maybe 120. Obviously, these trends do stop at one point. So from this point of view, I think that there's still space. Euro dollar 4-hour chart, maybe the 1-hour chart has some divergence perhaps, because if you look at this recent top here, right, this top compared to this one, there's a slight divergence between those, and there's a slight divergence between this one, but it's very slight. But eventually, price might get back to the long-term moving average. All right, so that's something to keep in mind. So, could price retrace back to 117? Yes, so that could be a bouncing spot to look for this uptrend. In that case, 117 could just be basically still easily a higher low within this uptrend, right? Would be hooking back to these broken tops, etc. 117, 117.50 quarter level could be support too. This broken resistance level, like that. So those are spots to think about as a potential bounce. The question was, would the euro dollar continue right away? Because the daily candle was strong, all right, and on a 1-hour chart, I think the main target was hit, but you never know. There could have been a small extension, right? So from my point of view, I was looking on a 50-minute chart to see if we could have a good breakout. From my point of view, this particular formation was not good to trade. This is partly connected to waves and also proprietary trading system I use. From a wave perspective, this is already a pretty nasty pullback, and it looked like that price could retrace deeper because of that, just from a edit wave perspective. Okay, so I don't want to dive into that too long. The only way I would trade a 15-minute extension above 118.50 today would have been if 50-minute chart showed a good break above Keltner, for instance, and some small flag, I would trade it. But it didn't. It tested Keltner and rejected. Now it looks like we're getting a bigger retracement. All right. So I don't think the euro dollar is good to trade now. I think we're going to have to forget the 15-minute chart. It would have been interesting. It could have been interesting, the 15-minute chart right now, if price would have pushed through the Keltner and pushed above 118.50. It didn't. So I want to zoom back to the 1-hour chart. And what I'm looking for, basically, I will put on my Wiz tool. And if you're interested in my Wiz tool, you can just send me an email and I'll send it for free, no problem. One second. Yeah, there it is. So the reason why I liked yesterday's trade was the fact that it broke above the third and the fourth level. And the best zone is between the third and the fourth and the fourth and the fifth. All right. So you can see without touching the long-term moving average. So you can see that the euro dollar had such a move. And yesterday, that's why it was so sweet to break out, because it was above the fourth. And from my point of view, there was beautiful space up to the fifth. That's why I had confidence to aim for 84 pip win. Part of that has to do with this Wiz tool. So now that I'm talking about it, I think it's fair to at least show you how you can get it if you're looking at this recording, for instance. One second, very quickly. Just send me an email and explain that you're looking for Wiz, IZZ. Now there could be an extension to the sixth level, yes, which is at 120.80. Doesn't have to go exactly to 120.80, but roughly. Let's say 120, probably more likely. All right, but that between the fifth and sixth zone on the euro dollar is typically choppy. So let's talk about fibs now. If I put a fib from here to here, one of the levels that could be used is this top and the 38.2 fib at 117.70. So one thing I might keep an eye on is a move down, a bounce, a hook back, and 5 to 6 candles not breaking this low, and this could be a hook back for a further bounce to the upside. That's one way. The other opportunity could be if price breaks through 117.70. In that case, I would probably wait for price to get down to, then I would probably remove the fib. Let's see. I need to think about this. One second, folks. I might move this fib to this bottom of the 4-hour chart, 11th of July. And I would probably be looking for 38.2 fib of that fib and the weekly pivot point of 117. So either price, from my point of view, bounces at 117.70, 117.70, or 117. With the target at initial target probably 118.75, then 119.50, and then maybe 120. All right, so that's my plan on the euro dollar. Let's see tomorrow morning how it looks like. Probably the first moment I will look at it again. Alrighty, dollar yen. All right, talked about this, I believe, yesterday's video, and how it was bouncing off this fib, right? And indeed, price slowly but surely hit the minus 272 target, made another retracement. So this particular short I talked about it in the video. Maybe you joined me on that trade, but went down to the target for about 58 pips. Hit the 110, which is causing a bounce, and after the bounce, prices continue with the downtrend. Price is not broken below 110 yet, so I don't think it's a good moment to trade the dollar yen personally. Right here, there is a lower low, plus there could be 5 waves completed now within a 5 wave, and there's a round level at 110. There's also on a daily chart a bigger support trend line coming in and a bigger bottom, plus S1 weekly. So I don't think that this is good to short. I'm not sure if it's a good reversal trade as yet either. I would like to see it at 109.50 for a bounce up personally. So I don't think that is ready either. I don't think it's necessarily good for either direction at this moment. But if it breaks below 110, yes, there is a small zone here for 50 pips. But that would have to be, it's a tight, small space. So it is, I don't think, really that easy to trade. It could be on a lower time frame, 15 or 5-minute chart perhaps. Maybe in the Tokyo session, in the Asian session tomorrow. All right, pound broke this chart pattern to the upside as kind of a rising wedge formation, but broke to the upside instead, in fact. So I think that caught probably many traders off guard, because rising wedge is typically a bearish chart pattern. I was expecting upside on the pound dollar too, although I like the euro dollar more because the position, the structure looked better. But also the pound to me looked bullish. And I was talking about, if I remember correctly, on Monday morning, it already seems ages ago somehow, but it's only 1.5 days ago, that I would be looking for a weekly pivot point bounce. And price missed it just by a few pips. But maybe some of you caught that trade. It did continue up to 132.50, the quarter level, for about 150 pip rally. So anyone catch the pound USD by any chance? Or maybe some of you were enjoying, most likely, the good weather, I assume. It's end of July, beginning of August, the heart of the summer. So I'm sure that some of you managed to grab some sunshine, hopefully. But if you were trading either indoor or on the beach, hopefully you get maybe some pips on this pound dollar. In any case, the analysis was indeed true. The upside continued. So now what? I think that's a pretty good daily candle breakout. Price broke above yesterday's high already. Let's take a look again at the hourly chart. And I think that there is a good chance that this could continue. So I'll put a fib on this chart in just a second. I just want to double check something from a wave analysis, which you can do by going to admiralmarkets.com, clicking on analytics, then click on wave analysis. And I'm doing this just because of the waves to know which fib I have used in my wave analysis. That's the same fib I want to use. Yeah, the pound, essentially the same movement as the euro dollar, but I like the euro a bit more because rising wedge pattern, it didn't have it, and it broke above my whiz levels. Pound yen, we can take a look at that in just a second. There we go. So wave 4, I'm using this bottom here at 131. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. So just wanted to check something there. All right, so a lot of lines here. Let me take off this one so it becomes a bit more viewable perhaps. All right, so yeah, basically we had a break above this resistance, so we can put the fib from here to here, and this is a break, potential break pullback continuation. All right, so that trade idea mentioned in yesterday's video was here before the break. Now looking at the pullback. So what fibs make sense from this point of view? Shallow fibs, 38, 50 fib in my view. Maybe 61.8 because of the tops here still makes sense. But nothing deeper than that. I think anywhere between 131.50, 131, 132, let's say, 131.90 perhaps, could be bouncing spots. So how to trade it? I think probably tomorrow morning, not earlier. And it depends on how price makes this retracement. If suddenly price falls like this, obviously I'm not interested in going long anymore. But if price moves down a bit, then up a bit, then down a bit, then up a bit like this, it might seem like a head and shoulders, but it's probably more a bull flag. And I would try to trade candlestick patterns on the hourly chart, strong bullish candles at the 50, 61.8 fib. Yes, sure. We can take a look at gold. That's all I wanted to say on the pound for the moment. The target, by the way, should be, well, if it breaks above one, it should break above 132.50. Probably 133.30, 133.50, 133.75. All right, we're going to take a look very quickly at gold for Angel because his battery is low. So, and then we'll take a look at pound yen, and I see a question on Wiz, and I'll look at that in just a second. Very quickly at gold. Gold is surprising me a bit because I did expect a retracement first before continuing up. From my point of view, it seemed like 5 waves has finished, but it looks like we're getting an extension. Those always could be nasty. That's why trading reversals sometimes can be a bit tricky. Within this fifth wave, which I consider here 1, 2, 3, 4, and this 5. It could be a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is the 5 of 5, and within 5 there could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of 5 of 5. So I'm not sure how many wave 5s this is going to make. I'm not necessarily saying that this is the best moment to sell, even though it's a wave 5 of 5 of 5, potentially. But I am not that tempted to trade it long, personally, because of that. But, you know, it could still push. On the daily chart, there is some space to the R1, to the R2, and even the top. So, but from my view, I would rather wait for a pullback on this 4-hour chart. I would rather wait for price, put a fib on this entire swing, and wait for price to make 3 waves down, price falling to the 23.6 or 38, making a retracement, then falling to the 50 or 61. If we put a fib on the 3rd wave, probably here, then the next target, because it stopped at the minus 272 target at 1270, but it seems to be breaking above it. The next target is the minus 61.8 target at 1286, which is equal to Angel's target. Angel mentioned it just now. R2 is his target, and there's confluence at that. So that to me makes a lot of sense. So there could be an extension within the 5 wave 5 of wave 5 of wave 5, and there could be maybe a hook back, and another 3rd wave, and then a 4th wave, and then a 5th wave to hit this target. It's possible. But in any case, I would probably need to see price hook back down to here before maybe tempted to trade it to that space there, right? But mind you, it's really this last kind of push. All right, so that's a quick look at gold. So great job, Angel, by the way, with regard to the gold XAU USD long. And otherwise, everything is fine, by the way. I had a good weekend. We went to an EDM, electronic dance music festival. Really great, beautiful weather. Not the first evening, but the second evening was perfect. There was quite a lot of rain that fell before that, so it was a bit muddy at certain spots, especially the first evening, which did provide some entertainment. I can tell you that, but otherwise it was all good. Saw some family as well. Was in the same city. Maybe not that I know of, at least, but I'm not paying attention. Was good though. And let's see. Pound yen. Pound yen and Martin's question. Wiz levels. Yes, I can explain to use it, but it would really be better to send you an email with the script and also a video or so. Okay, cheers, Angel. Good to see you here. Hope to see you tomorrow. Good trading. So, Martin, if you send me an email, I'll send you a video for that. Great. Let's see. Euro Swissy, Euro Yen. And the moving averages I'm using here is only 144 EMA close. This is a long-term moving average, 144 EMA close. But I also typically use the 21 EMA, by the way, which is not on this chart, just to not to cluster your view basically too much. So that's why I want to use 1 EMA here. All right, pound yen, euro Swiss, euro yen. Let's work on that. Pound yen. Let me refresh this chart a little bit. Kind of stuck. It's basically hasn't broken above this resistance line yet. Still above the 50 fib. So it's in the middle. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's one of those areas where I don't like to trade it because it's not really clear. But if anything, I still think it's more bullish just because of the bounce at the 50 fib, and it was a good 5 wave up after that. But it's becoming a bit choppy though, and there's no real trend on this at the moment. I think it could become a bit better if price were to break above this resistance. There is some space up to 147.50. You can see on the hourly chart, for instance, here, 5 waves plus an ABC correction. So if we look at the bounce after that, I would be interested to see price maybe at this weekly pivot point at 145, which could be a bouncing spot too before it potentially breaks out. It is a bit. I think it's not an easy one because price is just very much kind of chopping around the 144 EMA. It's not that great for a trend. I mean, if I had to trade it, I don't think I really. Cheers, Carmen. Great to have you here. Uh, if I had to choose, I would probably look for a bounce at the weekly pivot point or breakout. Would I be very, excited about trading it? Not so much, just because of the trend kind of weakness here. It's not a really big trend, but ultimately, yes, I think that it does look a bit more bullish. I think price could be interesting for upside. If price starts to push away from the long-term moving average on the 4-hour chart, then it could be this zone and this zone on the daily chart. So Ron is saying a lot of yen pairs are around the weekly 200. Let me get rid of this fib. The pound yen was very dramatic. Big rise, of course, a few years ago. Big fall. Erasing all those gains. Amazing, right? I mean, here it was down all the way at 116. Rise to almost 200. Then a fall way back to 122. Amazing. But now I think it's probably looking a bit more bullish because of the fact that this momentum, this correction. So it's looking like, to me, a ascending wedge pattern, which should typically break to the upside, especially because there's momentum here. So I think that there's a good chance for a breakout and a move up to 155, and it could get back into this zone, and that could be resistance. But that's a bigger move. So yeah, on the lower time frames, there's no trend. On the 1 hour, 4 hour, I don't see a trend. But I do see patterns that are looking bullish, and I do see fib bounces that are bullish. I do see a weekly pattern and daily pattern that is a bullish pattern. And I see momentum on the weekly chart and the potential for an ABC. So I do see kind of clues and patterns that would support bullishness, but not yet a trend necessarily on the 4 or 1 hour chart, or even on the daily. Euro Swissy, I'll be straightforward, is not something I have checked in a while. But let's take a look. Just might need to take a minute just to get the idea for that. 1 second. Euro Swissy. Oh, there it is. Wow, last week really took off indeed. Yep. Let's take a look. I haven't looked in this. I'm not really looking at the Swissy in general, so I might have missed something here last week. Even the dollar Swissy moved up. But Euro Swissy specifically, big week from 110, 114. That was a big move indeed. All right, let's take a look. Good momentum, obviously. And with such a momentum, I think it would be safe to say that it could just see a retracement like a bull flag and a continuation higher. Where could the bull flag like that finish? I think we need to put the fib from here to here on the most impulsive part before there was any correction, which was here. This is the most momentum part, so this looks like a wave 3. We can take a look at the hourly chart now. Within this push up, all right, we see a divergence between these tops, so there could be time for retracement. And probably the 23.6 fib, maybe even the 38, could be bouncing spots for a continuation upwards. So basically, bull flag, and either one of these two fibs and follow through. So trade ideas could be candlestick patterns at the 23.6 fib, candlestick patterns at 38.2 fib, time patterns when price makes a dip to the fib, bounces, hooks back, then continues like this at the 23 or 38. And the target, well, 115 probably, maybe even an extension to 115.75. Euro yen, let's take a look at that. Quick look at the weekly chart. Pretty much similar as the pound yen, although the euro yen didn't fall as much. All right, we're above the minus 272 target, which means there's still space to the minus 61.8 target at 133. I think that therefore this consolidation is on the daily chart just a sideways zone for more upside continuation. We can take away this weekly fib, 133, 132.50, let's say, and put a fib on the daily swing, which is here. Or maybe we should put it even on the 4-hour, like this. This could be wave 3, this could be a big wave 4, like this. All right, price didn't really respect any of these fibs, so not sure why, but anyhow. All right, so basically what's going on is price did show divergence on the 4-hour chart, right? Which is one of the reasons why I was warning that don't look for upside right now, because of the fact that price could make a bigger retracement before bouncing up again. So warning, price did make that retracement like this, but then started to move up again and go sideways. Not expecting a bigger retracement at the moment. Price is now making a pattern, a sideways pattern. All right, so all right, there we go. Let's see, last week it was 24th of July, something like that. 25th. All right, so after that price make, basically after our webinar, right, couldn't break, hook back. I think I was talking about a pullback, although it didn't go as deep probably as I wanted to, if I remember correctly. In any case, it doesn't really matter. It's now building a pretty neat sideways channel, and I think this is a wave 4. So a bounce at 129 could be interesting, or 129.50, 75, even this weekly pivot point could be something to consider. On the hourly chart, it's a range trade. On a 4-hour chart, it's still above the long-term moving average. Just quickly adding the whiz levels here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 level. Wow. Yeah, but the thing is with the euro yen and pound yen, they really tend to move a lot more. 7th level is 133. It could hit the 7th level, but this last part was probably going to be choppy between 6 and 7. All right, as long as price doesn't hit the long-term moving average, this is still one push on the 4-hour chart. Let me quickly count some candles. I think the breakout is ready. 14 days of going sideways. So I think there are a couple of ideas here. There could be a hook back like this, 5 to 6 candles not breaking this low. And we might see that breakout to the upside. Keep an eye on the dollar yen too. If the dollar yen is bouncing at 110, this will help. If it breaks down to 109.50, wait a little bit. Or candlestick patterns at 129.50. That could be interesting too. So I think that the breakout to the upside could be close to occurring. All right, AUD CAD and New Zealand yen, and I guess then we'll wrap it up for today. Let's take a look at those. All right, ever since probably last time we analyzed this chart, broke above this resistance trend line, made a continuation to the upside, but it hasn't hit the target, hit the minus 272 target. It's kind of like right and smack in the middle. So it's not maybe surprising that it's having such a struggle. It's really back to the average, and it's in a range, so it's in the middle of the range. So from my perspective, it doesn't look that great, this particular currency pair, from my view. It is bouncing off the weekly pivot point. With engulfing twins like this, it might be interesting to try to trade upside. Once again, I'm not a big fan of it, but if I had to choose, there is a break, and this could still be a pullback. So if it kind of turns like this, but shows weakness here by not breaking this low, and there's some bullish candlestick pattern here, it could be at a bouncing spot like this, and it might head towards the minus 272 target if it finally breaks above resistance. If I had to choose, I'm not a big fan of it because it's smack in the middle of all these moving averages. So I don't think it's really a great structure at this point. All right, and then last but not least, the New Zealand yen. There we go. struggling to break the top here. Making a pretty impulsive correction at this point. But I think it's close to a bouncing spot. Let's take a look at the hourly chart. Could be finishing in an ABC correction. ABC. Price is at the S1, at the minus 61 target, just a bit below it, but okay. It is at previous bottoms, so I think it could be a bouncing spot within this uptrend on New Zealand yen. It's back to the long-term moving average, which could be a bouncing spot too. So if I had to choose here, this is a pretty good uptrend. It's just making strong retracement at the moment, back to support. It could be a reversal. It could be, that this is triple top or respect for the top. But in that case, if price, for instance, moves up but fails to break this top within the next couple of days, then there could be a bigger reversal. But for the moment, this is still probably a retracement within the trend. So I would be looking for a 4-hour, if I would trade this, I haven't looked at the New Zealand yen recently, but if I would trade this, then I would be looking for bullish engulfing twins here. And or on the hourly chart, some time factor or 4-hour time factor to trade this weakness and try to trade this bounce up. That's my view. All right. So yeah, thanks for joining. We'll be back tomorrow, of course. Nanette with his live trading sessions. You can find out more by going to admiralmarkets.com, clicking on education, going to Forex and CFD webinars, and you'll see Nanette's live trading session Wednesday, candlestick and Fibonacci patterns with myself. Same day, tomorrow and Thursday, educational webinar. And as I said, if you're new in here and curious what you can do next, check out admiralmarkets.com. You can find out what financial instruments are available, how you can download MT4 Supreme Edition with all those extra features, start trading, look at analytics, and etc. All right, so greetings back to groetjes for Ron. That's a Dutch way of saying hi. Sounds very similar to English, probably. And hope to see you soon, folks. Cheers.